Okay, I just want to hop on as we are about to enter the container for Higher Self Awakening. I'm excited. Whether you are joining us live this week or you are catching the replays, either way, this week is just going to be beautiful and magical. A few things that I want to share in this video. One, you will get the same level of healing whether you watch live or the replay, because when I open the Akashic Records container, and I do a healing in that way. I mean, this is for a lot of different energetic healings. I'm not saying this is just because I'm opening it in the Akash, but anyways, with that said, I set the intention that anybody watching live with me, doing it with me, and or anybody watching the replay, it's like the container is open for you regardless. So when you walk in, even when you're walking in on the replay, you're still entering in, and your high vibrational spirit guide team is still around you. The Akashic Records is open around you. Like the same level of magic happens. Of course, being on the live call means you can kind of give me real time feedback and questions, which I also love and appreciate to be able to connect with you guys that way. But even if you're watching the replay, continue to stay engaged in the group thread, and like in your one-on-one channel if you have a private personal question that you want to ask before or after you finish a replay of a healing. Okay, and then the second thing, as we're about to open this container, each of you on some level already is tapping into your intuition. Again, how you're experiencing it right now all might be a little bit different, whether you are checking in with your intuition already frequently, daily, weekly, monthly, maybe it's more sporadic. What I just want to say and really provide some reassurance on and do a little explanation is that regardless of how you've been connecting with your intuition, wherever you are in that journey, the channels will open up more when we do the healing work, the subconscious belief reprogramming, the past life healing trauma. It helps just like continue to remove the fog, the veil, and it helps you strengthen your connection to your higher self, your spirit guide team, and the divine. Now, in that same vein, I can understand this is where like some of the subconscious reprogramming comes in from our childhood, is that we hear a lot about like, heaven and hell, angels and dark entities, like, right, good versus evil, light versus dark. So a couple things. In this healing, we are addressing the dark within, because we are no longer wanting to fear the dark within ourselves. What is the dark within ourselves? The dark within ourselves is oftentimes unhealed trauma. Parts of ourselves stuck and frozen in time, either from our childhood or from past lives, that are like frozen in a window of time where the self did not feel safe. That is the dark. And oftentimes the dark is laced in shame and judgment because, again, through perhaps our conditioning and our programming growing up, we were either consciously or subconsciously taught to be embarrassed by, regret, and be shameful of our past mistakes or past times in our life where we were confused, overwhelmed, didn't know better, didn't know what we were doing, or something happened to us. But again, we internally took on a program then of like, I must not be enough, I must be XYZ. And so how I believe like currently we are taught about those things then is oftentimes like sweep it under the rug. That's something to be ashamed of. So then it starts to feel like that's the dark within us. Like, oop, I got to sweep that under the rug. Oop, I don't want anybody to see that. Oop, I got to remain strong. Don't like. We are going to sweep away that line of thinking because that is one of the best ways that we can conquer dark is with light. And all of us are dark and light. Like we all have things we've done, whether it's when we were younger, growing up, or in past lifetimes, just depending on where you're at in this journey, what you've seen or been shown or whatnot. We're both. We're all these beings of both dark and light. And how we conquer the dark is by bringing the light in and healing and integrating and sending love and compassion to those parts of ourselves. So there is nothing to fear of the dark within, because with the dark within, we bring in our light, and we bring in the light from the divine and the higher self and our spirit guide team. And so we completely transmute the dark into light. And that is like an ongoing healing process and journey. And it's just an invitation to continue to awaken up to more aspects of ourselves. Okay, so that's one definition of dark. When people are like, oh, but I'm afraid to like see the dark, that might come up in this container. Part of the dark might be just you. It's you healing past trauma. So I don't want any fear around that. Now, another thing, though, that has come up, like I said, because of sometimes our programs and how we were raised and our conditioning, the other dark that you might be thinking about is like, I'll call this dark just depending on, you might think of it like, yeah, like dark entities, the devil, lower vibrational, energetic beings. Okay, here's what I will say is that, so like questions might come up around, well, Maria, so I'm increasing my channel to the divine and to this whole 4D and 5D world that you're going to be opening up to. And there, yes, there can absolutely be fear to like, but what else? What else is out there? Again, now know that the fear is coming from a part of yourself that subscribes to a belief that like, we must fear the dark. We must fear the dark entities. And here's the thing. I won't sugarcoat. And I know enough to know that yes, in the spiritual realm, just like in the human realm, we all exist on a spectrum. Some people are making good choices. Some people are not making good choices. And we could call them bad, but they're lower vibrational. They're humans sitting in a lower vibration and making poor choices, perhaps inflicting harm on themselves or others. But to be honest, oftentimes that comes from their own wounds and trauma. But it's a spectrum. Similarly, in the spiritual world, yes, there is a spectrum of lower vibrational dark entities all the way up to the light beings. To help you with this fear is a couple of things. One, even before, to be honest, when I began tapping into my intuition, I never experienced a dark entity or a dark body, because oftentimes the dark entity or dark body, to be honest, was me. It was me fearing an aspect of myself, a past unhealed trauma. So it's like, number one, the more you heal and you become brighter and more light, the less fear there will be within you in general. But as I mentioned, I don't want to sugarcoat. It's not to say that there are not a lower vibrational, not of the highest light beings out there and entities in the spiritual world. I won't lie to you. But what I will say is there is a couple of things. You are entering into this journey with me, creating a sacred container that is being held in the highest vibration. The Akashic Records is the highest vibration we can go, aside from tapping into the seventh plane of existence with where the divine source, one universe is. And quite frankly, we actually also bring in that seventh plane, the highest plane of divine love. We do bring that in actually when we're doing a good portion of the healings, because I'm using the theta healing technique. So what I want you to know is that you get this, how do I want to say it, like stress-free time to practice connecting into your intuition. And as we're opening up intuition, you're going to be in this beautiful, sacred, safe container, because when the Akashic Records are open, we are in the higher planes. There is no dark there. There is no dark there. You will only experience and feel the light. Now, how does that translate to then when you are at home and you begin starting your own intuitive practices? A couple of things. Because we are opening up your intuitive channel in the light, you will have this divine connection that when you are channeling your intuition, remember how I said your body is like a transmitter? Your body, it's why it's important that we remain, even though we're opening up a lot of our upper chakras. I explain why, if you haven't watched it already in lesson number 1, preparing for this week, we have to stay grounded in our lower chakras, because we have to remain a balanced channel. And as a balanced channel, grounded in safety and love and worth, channeling messages from the light, you are able to recognize and experience your own intuition in the light. And then there is a daily clearing practice that you can use. I include it in kind of the guide after we do healing number 2, which is the intuition healing. There is this guide about how it talks about, like, okay, we want to check in with our intuition daily. We want to be grounding into our lower chakras each day. But again, that could be something as simple as doing some yoga poses, getting outside. And then the third thing is we want to be clearing and cleansing our energetic auric field. So I will talk more about that when we get into next week, week 2. But there are some simple practices that we can do, such as setting the intention every time I wash my hands, I'm clearing and cleansing my energy, my auric field, and my beingness. You can use white selenite, a crystal, to clear and cleanse your energetic auric field daily. So you will go in with some of these then practices that you can incorporate, but also the highest frequency and form of protection to any dark is light. And so by that I mean the highest form of protection is love. And the more you embody love and we practice sitting in our heart space and experiencing and being in the flow and the frequency of love. And again, this does not have to look like, okay, I have to like spend an hour sitting in this love. No, it can be little. It can be little 2-3 minute moments throughout the day where you're just sitting in love. It obviously also can then expand into like a morning practice where you do it for like 10 minutes, whatever. But the more you sit in the energy of love and you just set that intention that you're connecting with the light and the love and the higher vibrations, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Gosh, something came into my head and then I just lost it. Okay. I'll recognize that. That's just what's meant to be shared. When you are in the frequency of love, love is the highest form of protection. And through the work of these initial healings, I promise, if there is any fear about tapping into your intuition, we will overcome that with light. And as always, feel free to send me any questions.